Good morning and welcome to Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition on 92.9 KVRE, online at kvre.com and on iHeartRadio. Alongside Tracy Simpson, I'm Mark Oliver. Tracy, welcome back from your vacation. Have a good time out in the deer woods this week.
No doubt, Mark. It was unbelievable. We had such a great time. Just being out there, with the kids around the campfire, telling stories and looking at all the beautiful countryside, just unbelievable. It gives you just a breath of fresh air. And, I had a lot of good time. Appreciate being there, but I'll tell you what, nothing like getting back and finding out what's going on with not having internet access or anything like that. And what happened? This happened? Oh, my goodness. But, great time, but sure did miss you guys.
We've got a great show planned for you today. We're going to dive right on in with our local roundup because these days, basketballs are beginning to bounce all across Garland County. And in one school in particular, a red-hot Mountain Pine Lady Red Devils team has already started with a great start and a huge win over Blevins to begin the season. A double-digit win for the Lady Red Devils, who had a great run last year. Coach Nikki Pierce joins us on the program this morning. Coach Pierce, welcome back. And how are things looking for you in the squad this year?
They're looking good. I've got three seniors who've really stepped up and are leading the path for this. While we have small numbers, we know our roles, and those seniors are really stepping up. And I think that we have a chance to make another little run if they continue to push themselves.
Coach, as a Mountain Pine graduate myself, I had a lot of opportunities to come see you and the team operate those home stands in Mountain Pine last season. I mean, we're talking about some of the biggest crowds that we've seen for girls basketball in many, many years. What are some of those lessons from last year's postseason run that you're carrying into this season?
I think it's just anything is possible when you're willing to work for it. I mean, that's kind of our mindset is we know that we have the potential. It's just putting in the work and being willing to step up and say, I'll do it. A lot of times with sports, you got kids and you see it happen all the time where they could have, but it was too much effort, so sometimes they just don't. But our mindset this year is, even if it isn't me, it's going to be me if it has to be me.
You mentioned some of the leadership from this year's returning squad. How do you see this group shaping the team's identity compared to last year? I know you said you had a little bit of smaller numbers that you're working with there, so leadership ends up being critical to success.
Yes, sir. So I think with us only being one game in, it's something we're still trying to adapt to so everybody knows their true role. But we've got 7 girls, 2 of them are fresh to basketball this year. So our 5, the 4 are R5, and those 2 of them are still kind of young. So really just those 3 seniors, like I was talking about, they've been playing together since they first ever picked up a basketball, starting in the 4th grade. So they kind of know what each other brings to the table. They know what to expect of each other. So just stepping into their roles and pushing themselves every night and holding each other accountable. That's something we talked about recently in the locker room was even on the days we don't want to work, we're going to hold each other accountable to put in the work so that we are able to step up in the game time and be ready to go. But these 3, I got one of them's a point guard, one's a shooting guard, and one's kind of an all-around driver and does a lot for us. So we just them stepping into those roles and doing their roles correctly, and while guiding some of these younger girls to help continue to build our program. I think we can make a run just strictly off of that because the girls know what they need to make up for what we had graduate last year, and just keeping that mindset that they're willing to keep pushing to make it happen.
Coach, okay, with the new players that you got in, and of course with the veterans coming back, have you had to change up any kind of schemes whatsoever, or are you still keeping it basic to what your style was last year?
We have had to change a little bit, and it's tough for us because we're good at playing fast, but due to our low numbers, we can't really put ourselves in situations. So we even had to try to kind of change our game plan a little bit going into our halfway through our game Tuesday. We started off in a contained back 2-3 when we're used to just being up in your face from the get-go. And then the plan was originally to adapt and kind of put more pressure the second quarter, maybe even the third, depending on where we're at with fouls. But even just in the first half, we got in foul trouble that we had to continue to stay smart, stay contained, and that's just going to be a big difference for us this year. Is we're going to have to learn to play more calm and collective instead of always going fast and up in your face, which is good because we know how to play fast. So if we can learn to play slow, I feel like that allows us to have a little bit more control over the tempo and some teams that only know how to play to a fast pace or to a slow pace.
And of course, I know as you prepare for a new season, you want to get out there and play against someone other than yourselves in practice, right? So you go against a Blevins squad, a school that is very tradition rich on the basketball court, and you come away with that 15-point win. And I know that winning does a lot to really lift the mood and the momentum of a team. So what has practice looked like this week, coming off of that win and really building some confidence with these girls?
I think the win definitely helped us, especially with us understanding that we were not okay with the way we played. We didn't accept it. We know that we can do more, and I think that's where you want to be when you can win a game and not be satisfied with the way you won the game and know that you got more work to do. So coming in from practice yesterday, that was something that we were focused on, trying to fix some of the mistakes we were making, with those younger girls and some of the rotations and things that we were doing that we did wrong with, trying to fix that and just kind of talk about what we can do to tighten things up so we're not making some of those same mistakes. But yeah, coming off of that definitely helps. But like I said, I think what pumps me up the most is knowing that my girls weren't satisfied with the win, because that's when you know you're taking a step in the right direction.
Coach, as we look at the schedule, of course, I know we're just at the starting point of the year, and it's a long schedule ahead. And with lower numbers, I know that there will be some challenges that come along the way. But what are some of the games that fans? What are some of the games that you hope that fans will come out and enjoy? Some of those must-see games, maybe some of those must-win games that you and the girls have circled on the schedule this year.
Yes, sir. I think, Derrick's will be a tough one, really for both boys and girls. But, they're a big basketball school over there as well. And we got a few other tough teams in our conference for boys, and girls too. Cutter's a tough team. So I think we'll get a good crowd out for that. One of the biggest things I'm trying to build over here in this community is just trying to get more Red Devil pride out of our school and our community. So I've been blessed, and I've enjoyed seeing our student section grow and seeing them being here and supporting each other, so we can continue to build that small family like feeling in our school. But I think some of those games will definitely help bring some people out. Those will be big moments for us, as far as how our season's going to go, and really kind of tell us where we potentially will be at as we continue to go through the season.
Coach, your style of play, like you said, you want to go get up and down the court, but sometimes you've had to lay off a little bit. Through your years, has that been standard for you? I mean, is that the way you were coached, and that's the way you played to that fast ball and then trying to lay back a little bit now? That could be a little bit confusing, though, hadn't it?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I love to go fast. That was my favorite way to play. But there's also times I had to slow it down, and that's something I think is important for kids to understand, that sometimes it's okay to slow the game down, because when you're playing a fast team, that puts you in control of that tempo. So if you can learn to slow it down, then it kind of throws off those fast teams a little bit. So I do think it's something that we need in our pocket. It's definitely adaptable. That's why we kind of got foul trouble at the beginning, because we had some kids, they're so used to going fast, like that's automatically like what's built in us to step up and get up in your face. So that it's definitely going to be a change, but I know that we got it in us. But that doesn't mean that's who we're going to be. We're going to play slow when we have to, but when we can get up in your face, that's still the plan. But it's definitely a change, and it's going to take a few games for us to adapt to it fully. But I definitely, like this other night, seen moments where it looked good. It's just going to take a couple games to get in rhythm with it.
And of course, Coach, I saw some news on social media this week as well that some of these girls, some of these seniors, these leaders on your squad are already getting looks to play at the next level. How important is that for you as not only a coach, but as a mentor and a role model for these young ladies to ensure that they have that opportunity to continue playing the game that they love?
Yes, sir. It means a lot to me, especially being a collegiate athlete myself. I just think one of the biggest things I try to teach my kids as a mentor is there's so much that sports can teach us, just besides us winning and losing games. A lot of what I learned to make me the person I am today is through the adversity that I had to go through as an athlete. So that's something I really want them to take with them. I think it builds strong character to help them be successful in life. So as long as that's our goal and we're chasing after it, I think it just makes us stronger women to thrive. So I love it, and I love to see it. I think that we have quite a few athletes here that have the opportunity if they grind and put in the work, and that's something just teaching kids to put in that work and it paying off, I think is important. To but even more so with the seniors that we do have, they've taken our junior high in with open arms this year. Our junior high looks up to our senior high group so much. I mean, you can just tell that they're in awe of them and they want to be just like them. And that also goes with our Pee Wee programs. We got Pee Wee kids that watch these senior girls. So it's exciting to see her getting all those opportunities because she's opening the doors for the future of our program and kind of lighting a fire for what's coming behind us.
Coach, and it's a perfect segue into my next question here. Of course, I'm a Mountain Pine Pee Wee parent myself for basketball, and I've been watching these Pee Wee girls teams coming up. Of course, I know we're talking about the present and the here and now, and what can this year's senior high girls team do. But when you look ahead to the future, we see these Pee Wee teams that are rising up, this junior high team specifically that's got some really spicy student athletes coming up that I think are going to bolster this program for years to come. But that camaraderie, you talk about the student section. I've seen some of the games where those Pee Wee teams will pack the house, and they're rambunctious and like to make a lot of noise. It just seems like the future of Mountain Pine Red Devils basketball, the Lady Red Devils for sure, but even on the boys' side as well, looks to be immensely bright. And you talk about that Red Devil pride, that has to go a long way in keeping that school spirit at Mountain Pine, don't you think?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think it's important for us to have pride. When you have pride in what you're doing, you work for it more. I just think that's how anything goes. If it's important to us, we're going to work for it. And I think this school should be important to the ones that walk through it. And that's something we want to continue. And I think sports, that's a big thing here. And sports is what keeps our kids going and keeps them thriving. So as long as we can keep packing these stands and supporting our athletes and building it up for the future, I think Mountain Pines is going to continue to thrive. And we're going to start to see changes over the next few years, where kids will be excited and want to be here, and then kids will even want to come here just to be a part of what they're seeing with the pride that we show and the community support that we have.
Well, Coach, I've been a Mountain Pine Red Devil supporter for years and years and years, and we want to encourage everybody to follow suit. And, of course, nothing like Red Devil pride. And we appreciate you so much and what you're doing over there, and can't thank you enough for what you're doing for the kids.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all.
Coach Nikki Pierce of Mountain Pine Lady Red Devils basketball, of course. Make a trip out to Mountain Pine. What we talk about, these small communities, the smallest corners in Arkansas sometimes have the brightest stars, the brightest diamonds. This is going to be a Red Devil squad that's going to be a lot of fun to watch this year. And I encourage you to go out and check out some of their games this season. Coach, thank you so much for joining us this week. Good luck, and go Lady Red. Good luck this season.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, more to come on Sports and Sorts Tailgate Edition when we come back. A big, juicy baseball story coming your way next. Stay tuned. Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition, 92.9 KVRE, and online at kvre.com.
Second quarter coming up.
Tracy, when we first spoke about the NBA's big bombshell scandal regarding Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier being involved with prop betting and illegal betting on games in the Italian mafia, you told me that this goes far beyond the NBA, and you'd be right. So I'm going to do something here.
Okay.
I know the radio land can't see it, but you may be able to smell it. So that was the first shoe. Okay, that's the first shoe.
Yeah,
you want to bet what's coming next?
Yeah.
You want to bet what's coming next? Hang on. Here it
shoe.
is. Here it is.
Yep.
Boop. Second shoe just dropped. This is where the other shoe drops.
Mm-hmm.
Because now we're seeing it come out in the MLB.
Bingo.
The indictment of Cleveland Guardians pitchers Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz for allegedly participating in sports betting schemes where they rigged pitches to manipulate prop bets. The scheme began in May 2023, and it involved Clase coordinating with gamblers to intentionally throw specific pitches, often balls or slower than average pitches, to ensure that bettors' wages won, leading to more than $400,000 in winnings for the bettors and kickback payments to the pitchers. Both pitchers face federal charges, including wire fraud conspiracy and bribery conspiracy.
Jeez.
Here we go. We're talking about pitches. And that's the danger of prop bets, because when it comes down to prop betting in sports gambling, you can bet on almost anything in the game. First pitch of the at-bat, is it going to be a ball or a strike? Is it going to be down in the dirt or in the zone? Is it going to be at the shoulders or at the knees?
Foul ball, anything.
Yeah. What is the result of the first pitch of the at-bat? Well, for a pitcher, and if you're in on it, like Clase and Ortiz are on it, it's no big deal to lead off an AB with the ball. Hey, I'm going to throw one down in the dirt. Make sure everybody knows. Make sure everybody bets on it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This is what these pitchers were doing. They were allegedly rigging specific pitches to fix these bets, throwing pitches in the dirt or intentionally throw them slower than a set number of miles per hour to ensure that they'd be called as balls. So Clase started the scheme, and then Ortiz allegedly joined this past season in the 2025 campaign. Clase sometimes coordinated with bettors during games, relaying information about pitches or arranging for specific pitches to be thrown for a fee. And Pete Rose is rolling over in his grave right now. So both pitchers have been charged with multiple federal crimes, including wire fraud conspiracy, wire fraud conspiracy, money laundering conspiracy, and conspiracy to influence sports contests by bribery. Each of these carry a potential penalty of up to 20 years in prison. Ortiz was arrested earlier this month, has appeared in court already, pled not guilty, by the way. And Clase's attorney says that he is innocent of all charges and looks forward to clearing his name in court. But Tracy, looks pretty ugly. I don't know. Unless there's something that we're missing here, it looks like you're caught hook, line, and sinker.
Well, Mark, what you said, though, was alleged, of course, and they'll do a plea and somehow, whatever the case is. But Mark, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not over.
It's not over.
It's not over.
This is just the beginning.
Okay. I'm just telling you right now, wait, because and I can't believe in this modern age, these guys, for what it's worth, they cannot be that far out there to where they don't know there's a trail for everything now. Not a coulda, woulda, shoulda, but a trail for everything now, whether it's text, emails, whatever the case is, because here's the kicker. Most of these online wagering systems, okay, whatever the case is, they're federally founded to uncover any information. They have to do it. They have to
Yes.
show, not only for one thing, for not only the money, but money laundering, taxes, all kinds of stuff. So they have to show their books on a federal. So there's nothing to it. And with AI or whatever you want to use these days, these feds can go after they can look at any records they want, and they can go after anybody they want. And there's a paper trail, old saying, which it's the cloud, of course, but they can look back now and don't leave. Are you ready for this one? Are your shoes back on?
No. Can you smell it?
It's pretty bad. But anyway.
It stinks, doesn't it?
Hey, get ready because football's next. And just like you said with pitches,
Yep.
Drop a pass here, miss a punt here. There's so many prop bets on that also. How far is the kickoff? Blah, 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 this, that. So I'm just telling you right now, if you don't think that those wheels aren't spinning right now, IBM doesn't even have a computer big enough to handle this one, I'm telling you.
So first things first, the shoes are back on. That smell will go away in just a second.
Thank you.
When we talked about it in terms of the NBA, how did Adam Silver respond? He said, boy, it'd be really great if our government could make some legislation to take care of prop betting, passing the buck. Okay, so the MLB didn't necessarily do that. The MLB technically did something. So there's new limits now on certain types of prop bets that can be set for Major League Baseball games. And these are now also being considered by the other leagues in response to these sports betting scandals. Following these recent indictments, the MLB and its sports betting partners have announced a national solution to address the risk of these quote-unquote micro bets. Right now, that current solution is a $200 limit on all wagers on individual pitches. And you're laughing. You beat me to it. You're laughing. So lipstick on a pig is still a pig, right? Okay, so fine. You can't bet more than $200 on these individual pitches. Is that solving a problem? No. If anything, what it's doing is, okay, so you can't bet as much money per pitch. So what do you have to do? You have to bet on more pitches.
Hello.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
So we're not solving the problem. If anything, we're making the problem worse.
encouraging.
And I thought Adam Silver had the worst take on it here. I mean, you can weigh your, two in one hand, one in the other. It's still a problem here. NBA is basically doing nothing. The MLB is also doing nothing, but actually helping out the gambling companies even more by doing so. You mentioned the NFL. I'm willing to bet that those indictments are coming. I'm willing to bet those investigations are already underway, and they've probably already got scapegoats. They probably already have scapegoats. You talked about it. This is going to be everywhere. This is going to go all across every professional sport, and it's a giant, giant problem, and it calls into question the integrity of the game. We already had a messy breakup with the NBA, and we already don't trust the NBA as it is, but now baseball, NFL's coming. Hey, guess what? It's happening in college sports too.
Mark, can I tell you this too? Listen, if you recall, I want to say I haven't went back and looked and listened to her, but you recall about 6 months ago, or I think, when we talked about ESPN now has a betting app.
Yes, it does. Has their very own in-house betting app.
So how big is this? You're right. There's not enough lipstick for that pig. I'm telling you right now, because this goes much deeper. Because here's the kicker. Why are the players getting all these fingers pointed at them when the apps and the people that are promoting it are part of the game? They're part of it. So they're going to look back, and of course, when it does, when the finger turns back on those betting sites, they're going to have a scapegoat there also. Do you think they're going to take them off the map? There's no way. There's way too many dollar signs here. It's the same as a 30-second commercial to a 1-minute commercial in the Super Bowl. You take it for what it's worth, but it stinks all the way around, just like your shoes off. Okay, I'm just telling you right now. They're gonna do a lot of things as far as saying, well, maybe we can do this, or maybe, but nobody in the upper tier is going to get any indictment whatsoever. Here's what it's going to take, Mark. And of course, we're not going to solve the world's problems by no means. But until they get a heavy, somebody that's really up there, noteworthy of people turning their heads on, until that happens, then nothing's going to be taken care of. Nothing's going to happen at all. I'm telling you right now. Until somebody, the Muhammad Ali's of boxing or somebody like that, they're really going to, nothing's going to happen, Mark. And this is not only a black eye, this is a beat up 15-rounder. It's ugly all the way around. Now, your shoes have nothing compared to what this smells like. I'll be honest with you. And I was out in the cow pasture the other day and might have smelled something like it. But I'm going to tell you right now, this is ugly. Just typically ugly. It's not good for the sport. It's not good for the game. It's not good for the kids that are looking up to these so-far mentors.
Yeah.
And what is that telling them? That you can do stuff like this and get away with it?
There's so many, I think about the NBA specifically. There's so many athletes where they're out and open and honest and transparent, said, look, I'm not trying to be a role model for the kids. I'm just trying to be me. I'm doing me. You have these athletes who are making millions of dollars in their contracts, and then you start asking the question of why. Okay, so Class A is getting kickbacks of right around $5,000 for basically these thrown pitches, these tipped pitches, if you will. Kickback $5,000 here, $5,000 here. I mean, it racks up over time. It's not chunk change to you and me, but it might be to some of these athletes out there. But it's just a little bit here, a little bit here. Maybe it flies under the radar because it's in smaller amounts compared to the millions that they make, right? But so the New York Times came out with an article this week that I encourage everybody to go out and read. And basically they call for the only way to reestablish integrity into the games that we love: ban micro betting. It's just that simple. You can't lower the limit down to $200, which is what MLB has done. What is that going to solve? Okay, so the pitchers or the batters or whoever else is doing this, their kickbacks are going to be a little bit smaller. They're just going to get more kickbacks because bettors will just have to bet on more pitches. And we're talking about maybe it was only, let's just play devil's advocate here. Maybe it was just only in this at-bat is the first pitch. Maybe in this at-bat, it was only 2 pitches. It wasn't a complete collapse of integrity for this entire at-bat or this entire inning or this entire pitching outing. but it will be. It will be. If it's not already, it will be, because it's going to require bettors to bet more, and the gambling companies make more. It's a nightmare scenario all the way around. Legitimately, the only way to fix this problem, and this will still continue to happen, because at the end of the day, we've talked about this before on the show. Many of these athletes come from underprivileged backgrounds where, I mean, they're living the dream. They worked their whole life to get in this situation and to get this major payday. The risk is worth it to them, even if it means that they are blacklisted from the game forever. They have generational wealth for them and their families that they can live the rest of their days on, fund their kids going to college, what have you. Secure that bag, and then it's done. Everything else is just extra fuel for the fire, little extra benefit here and there. So the risk of losing everything they worked for in terms of the game is worth it, because the money's in the bag already.
Yep. But you know what'll get them every time? Greed.
Yep.
Greed will get you every time.
And it may get some of these commissioners and presidents and team owners.
Just hang on. I'm just going to say that. Just wait. Like I said earlier, it's going to take one of the big ones to go down before you get people to realize maybe something's wrong here.
More to come on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition. We'll be back in just a moment, right here on 92.9 KVRE.
Third quarter coming up.
And we're back. Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition on 92.9 KVRE, online at kvre.com, and on iHeartRadio with Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. Tracy, off the top of your head, what is one of your favorite sports quotes of all time? Is there anything that stands out to you, a favorite sports catchphrase or quote or saying that you really feel like kind of just like sticks with you?
Well, one of the biggest, of course, was Muhammad Ali. I'm the greatest. Because the way he captivated audience, it was unbelievable. And of course, the controversy too. But just the way him and now Howard Cosell, the way they were back and forth, bringing in the media people, of course, had to bring in Howard. But I believe that's one of the best ones ever. I am the greatest. And at that point in time, he was the greatest. I mean, he could back it up, and sure enough. But that's just one of many. I've got several, but that one always comes to mind to me.
Yeah. I love ones like you miss 100% of the shots you never take. I think about Kevin Garnett and the anything is possible after the Boston Celtics win the NBA Finals. But not all sports quotes in history are famous. Some of them are infamous as well. And that takes us into our next segment as we dive into the NBA here. Here was a quote from February 3rd, 2025. "Time will tell if I'm right." And these are words uttered by the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks, Nico Harrison. This comes one day after one of the most shocking NBA trades, if not the most shocking NBA trade of all time. Fans wake up, or remind you, backstory here. The Dallas Mavericks went to the Western Conference Finals and won the finals in 2024 and then lost in the NBA Finals in 2024. One season later, they have one of the biggest stars on the planet, Luka Doncic. But fans wake up on the morning of February 2nd to learn that overnight, Doncic was dealt to the Los Angeles Lakers in exchange for ultimately Anthony Davis and a few other smaller pieces to the package there. But one of the best players in the NBA, who has led your team very recently to the NBA Finals, came up short, is now off to Hollywood and LA for an injury-riddled Anthony Davis. And everybody woke up and looked at their phone that morning and they were like, wait, what?
What?
Huh? Is it April Fool? This is a joke, right? This is a joke. The day after, Nico Harrison, who authorized the deal, said, "Time will tell if I'm right." And we heard all sorts of things about Luka Doncic. He was fat. He was out of shape. The work ethic was into question. We didn't feel like that we could win with him. We went to the finals, but he wasn't the piece we needed to get over the edge. Apparently, Anthony Davis was. But all the chaos that ensued, and of course, the fan base never buying that narrative, even really for a second, has caused a lot of stress on this organization, who I might also add somehow, and we talked about this quite at length earlier this year, maybe lucked their way in to the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft, and we talk about things that stink. And look, I think the shoes have aired out.
They bring them off again because
you want me to take them off again?
Well, that's the only thing that's
really.
Go ahead, stay with the story, and the
what if I just take one off?
The listeners will understand after you finish this statement.
Interesting. So there were a lot of questions, a lot of controversy. Okay, wait a second. The Mavericks, who had a microscopic chance to get the number 1 overall pick, Cooper Flagg, a quote-unquote generational talent, just like Victor Wembanyama. Wait a second. The Mavericks? Wait a second. Didn't they just trade away one of the best players on the planet? This looks fishy. This sounds fishy. This smells. So anyway, Cooper Flagg is now a Dallas Maverick. And as of this week, Nico Harrison is no longer the general manager for the Dallas Mavericks. Team's off to an absolutely awful start this season, Tracy. They're
horrendous.
At the time of this recording, they're 3-9. They're second to last in the Western Conference, and the way that this conference is shaping up, I don't know that you're going to recover from this. They've got Cooper Flagg playing at point guard, who has never played a game of point guard a day in his life before joining the NBA. Sensational athlete for Duke. We talked about him quite a bit back during March Madness and all of that earlier this year. But this team looks like it has no identity. That guy, Anthony Davis, that they traded for, he's played in like 14 games total since that trade.
Since last year.
And he's injury-riddled, and that has not changed since coming into Dallas. And it just looks like everything is on fire. And it's led by a charge of pretty much every single home game, even the road games that fans would go to, with the signs, "Fire Nico," the chants, "Fire Nico," and it has become commonplace for the Dallas Mavericks and a huge distraction. So that moment that fans have been calling for, it's finally happened. The governor for Dallas Mavericks basketball coming out and saying, look, we want to get back to our winning ways, and we believe we don't currently have the pieces to do that. And Nico Harrison's fate was sealed. So when he goes back in February and says, time will tell if I'm right, I think time has just told that he's absolutely wrong.
Mark, I'm going to tell you what, you could have said it better. But if you recall also, when he came out with the trade and all that stuff, he was promoting that he was part of almost like the biggest of the front office, if you recall that.
Yeah.
And that, that they made an accumulative agreement on the trade. It was not just him, but a lot of them. And of course, this falls back to our first segment today, scapegoats. I don't think it was just Nico. Of course, everybody, he's the guy in front, the media, everybody sees and everything. But I think this is a deeper rooted problem than just Nico. This whole office, one guy doesn't make one decision on this, especially this big of a deal. He's the scapegoat. The whole front office is at fault. Do it for what you want. You've seen Dallas since they were sold. You've seen them just literally fall down the wind chart. I mean, except for the big how they got the draft, which that's a whole nother. We could do a whole show on that because we did already.
We basically did, yeah.
27 minutes. But that's a whole nother discussion at a different time. But it's not just Nico. Yeah, the media, they exploited it because they, the fanfare said it, and they wanted to go along with the fanfare. But you've been in this game long enough, Mark. There's always somebody on the chopping blocks that they have to serve up. And it's just that simple. Nico was one of them. And what he made the decision on was not just he. He's just a scapegoat here. He's the one that could get fired. It's the guys up above him that are seeing the numbers going down. And what does that do? That means numbers at the gate are going down. That means numbers on jerseys are going down. Let's look at the real picture here. That's what's going down. Yeah, a lot of Cooper Flagg jerseys have been bought, sure enough, but not like it was in Cuba, when they had a different team 5-10 years ago.
Yeah,
especially.
That's right.
It's a numbers game. I don't care what you're in, football, basketball, but it's a numbers game. And right now, the numbers that they were concerned about is that dollar sign, and that's down. If you look at the reunion, if you look at the arena that they're trying to fill up, no, they don't even have them on TV now anymore. The only place they can see them is in the Dallas network area.
Well, and here's the thing, too. Monday night, they have a double-digit lead. They blow it in the fourth quarter. They lose. Of course, now there's all the allegations of, they must be starting up the tank. They're at the bottom of the Western Conference with New Orleans. And the way the Western Conference is shaping up, Oklahoma City's lost one game this year. They're 12-1. They look like the favorite to repeat. you're not a competitive ball club, and it doesn't look like you're going to be anytime soon, even with the number 1 pick in the draft. Who knows when Anthony Davis is going to play basketball consistently again, if he will ever play consistently again. But all Dallas can do is watch the TV and look across the way on the West Coast, where in LA, Luka Doncic is averaging 37 points per game. He's leading the league. And they're like, doesn't look fat to me. Doesn't look out of shape to me. The Lakers are right there. I believe they're 3rd in the West right now, looking pretty good. Wish we had that guy back. What were they thinking? So this is not necessarily just a story of how a GM got it wrong or was thrown under the bus as the scapegoat ran over by the bus.
Yeah,
really.
Literally.
This is more of a story of how if you don't like something as a fan base, you have a voice and you have power to step up and see the change you want to see, to force it into fruition, speak it into existence. And that's exactly what this Mavericks fan base has done with staying true, the Fire Nico signs, really letting their voices be heard. Now, is this going to be the immediate fix that turns this program around? No. And I'll make the argument that Dallas looks like it is in a really bad shape for maybe years to come down the road. It could be quite a long time before, we're not even talking about winning the Western Conference Finals or reaching the NBA Finals. It could be a while before they're even back in the postseason, with as wild as the Western Conference is. And of course, Nico Harrison's going to get a buyout and he's going to get millions of dollars. And, just like we talked about in the baseball segment, he could ride off into the sunset right now if he wanted to live carefree the rest of his life. I do think that the story is not necessarily over, though, because all the conspiracy theories about Harrison and wait, what about this trade? I still don't know that we have all the details. Maybe when ultimately Nico Harrison's book is going to come out, because I have this feeling as soon as I saw this story, I said, okay, first there's going to be a book, and then second, we're going to see where he lands, because he's, I still think he's got skin in the game. I still think that he's going to land somewhere. Now, here's the deal. I don't know. I have no insider information, but I'm going to play a what-if game. What if Nico Harrison is picked up by the Lakers as a team consultant? You're not even a fan, let's be honest, but as someone who is following the game as part of their sports media duties, let's play what if. If he's picked up by the Los Angeles Lakers in any kind of capacity, how does that make you feel?
That it was already rigged and was already in the picture was already painted. I'm sorry. Now they're going to make it into a book with a bunch of pictures.
It'd be too obvious, right? It'd be too obvious.
No, Mark, it's getting awful clear now. I'm just telling you right now. The picture. Well, I'm telling you what, it says 1,000. You can say 1,000 words about a picture, but this one right here is something.
I've seen it tanking a team to try to get a good draft pick. Dallas actually didn't even have to tank last year, while my poor Utah Jazz floundered and suffered for absolutely no reason, and seem like they're doing it again for this season. I don't even know. But Nico Harrison, look, he's done with the Mavericks. The Mavericks are in really bad shape because of him. But to see him potentially go to a contender would really not sit right with me. And maybe front offices are looking at that like, no, we got to avoid this guy like the plague, because either it was intentional, and maybe it was an intentional tanking of a franchise, not just a season, or he's really just not good at his job.
Well, Mark, either one of those could fit this picture that you're painting right now. But here's the deal: this has happened more than once. Now, but it hasn't been such exploited like it is right now. Because here's the situation, Mark. This really makes sense. I'll be honest with you, not just so apparent to where everybody saw it, but I know they're running him out of Dallas on rails right now.
Oh, yeah.
But could those rails be running to L.A.? Most definitely. I'm just saying that, hey, I like your story, man. I'm telling you. And if this comes out, maybe you should be writing a book instead of doing movies.
I like the timing on this. Personally, I think this move should have happened maybe even before the season, let's be honest. But I think about Jason Kidd, and I have a lot of respect for the head coach of the Mavericks, of course. He did not even know, we reported on this, he was never told about the Doncic trade until he showed up to work the next day and all of a sudden didn't have his all-star anymore. And think about the distractions. He's trying to coach a team. He's trying to preserve his own job as a well-respected former NBA player and a Hall of Famer. and all the distractions there. I love this move because I think it takes a lot of the pressure off Jason Kidd. Like I said, I don't know if that means that they win games as a result of it. And until somebody actually stops tanking in professional sports and outlaws it, I believe the tank is already on and been idling for a few games already this season. But I like that it alleviates some of the pressure there, and maybe it'll help start moving back in the right direction for this fan base. The Fire Nico signs aren't going to show up to the games anymore. Maybe this will allow them to just focus on basketball. What happens with Anthony Davis? Does he return from a calf injury? Do they try to trade him, deal him for any sort of collateral, any sort of value they can get? I don't know what value exists for someone who barely plays basketball but gets millions anyways. So, I'm not sure what the answer is for Dallas, but they've got a long way to go. This was the first step to move in the right direction.
Well, I like the story, Mark. I like the storyline. And that this comes to, I think you've got the inside track on something. Maybe so.
And look, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. I think the writing's on the wall there. I think it's very obvious, but I'm just saying, and the NBA fans out there, they already know. They're already thinking that it's going to happen. But where Nico Harrison lands next could be very telling in what potentially could be. We're watching it in real time. Could potentially be one of the biggest insider scandals the NBA has ever seen. And we just don't have all the details yet. That's my tinfoil hat moment for the day.
Are we going to find out? And if it happens, could some legal aspect come from it? I don't know.
Tampering? Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying.
Oh, yes.
I'm just saying the ramifications here could be huge.
Well, I know that Mark Cuban got out when he could.
Hello.
And maybe he knew something.
I think we need to get to the next segment before we get into something.
There we go. Let us know your thoughts on the Nico Harrison deal. Are you excited for a new chapter for Dallas Mavericks basketball, or is it just more of the same for the Mavs? You can text our show anytime, 501-915-1300. We're going to break down the NFL when we come back. A big week with some big games on its way next, right here on 92.9 KVRE.
Fourth quarter coming up.
And we're back, Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition, 92.9 KVRE with Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. Tracy, in our NFL breakdown this week, Week 10 was full of chaos. Major upsets, a coaching firing, and statement wins by underdogs. And heading into Week 11, the spotlight is on some pretty heavyweight NFC clashes. The Lions and the Eagles go to battle, and so do the Seahawks and Rams, who are both 7-2 in the NFC West. Patrick Mahomes versus the surging Denver Broncos, and the New York Giants will take the field with a new head coach. Probably the biggest storyline from Week 10, Tracy, the Giants firing Brian Daboll after a rough start, New York dismissing their head coach, a rare mid-season move. I really like the way that Jackson Dart has tried to take over this offense for New York. They've been in multiple games, but it was not that they were in games, it's that they were blowing double-digit leads, specifically in the fourth quarter, that led to this firing. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, and you're right. Dart's, he's done a good job as far as being a rookie, but there's other teams that could use other coaches also, but not going to go there. But the problem is it's not all just on the head coach, as well as we were just talking about Nico a while ago. This is the whole crew, especially when you lose that way in the fourth quarter, and they have multiple times. And, the way it is right now, you got to have somebody. And I don't know if scapegoats is our topic for the day, but it is definitely him because the buck stops there at his desk. And will it stop there? Probably not. The coordinator, the whole 9 yards, absolutely stink. Defense has not been the problem. Offense is moving the ball. It's the calls that they make in the fourth quarter that I don't understand on some of them, because I've seen the Giants play some good ball, but obviously, though, when it all stops, it goes to the head coach, and that's why he's out of here.
Saw a big win last week, the Miami Dolphins.
What?
Not just beating the Buffalo Bills, but absolutely stunning them. And that one really shaking up the AFC power rankings. Of course, the Bills are 6-3, and now they're on the outside looking in because those New England Patriots have just won their seventh game in a row. The Dolphins run all over Buffalo. Is this time to hit the panic button or just a weird fluke?
No, it's panic button, because we're seeing, it'd be one thing if Buffalo's games, the stink when they had the two in a row lose, but then when they came back and they won big time, and you can't put that together several times in a row. Something's missing there. I'm not sure. I can't put my finger on it. Something's going on at Buffalo where they're just, the consistency, of course, is not there, but their train of thought, something's going on with, and I would say this immediately, their offense just seems so inconsistent with the same players that it questions you about the calls. It really does. It questions.
Well, if you think about this also, you have to look at the wild card picture here. If the Patriots take this division, that makes things very awkward for all these wild card teams because the Ravens are surging up. The Jaguars could be in the mix, but you look at that AFC West. We talked about this before the season began. Let's say Denver wins the division. The Chargers and potentially even the Chiefs are all right there in the mix as well. There are simply not enough wild card spots to go around if Buffalo has to settle for one of them. I think they'll be competitive and in the mix, but if you don't win your division, there's a chance you don't even make it in. And that's exciting. That's exciting for the league, in my opinion. Of course, as we look ahead into Week 11, there's some big matchups coming up this week. Of course, the biggest one of all to me, Tracy, Seahawks and Rams. Both are sitting at 7-2. It feels like a playoff battle right here. Control of the division is at stake. Who you like?
You know what? This is a tough one, but boy, the Rams have been just on fire. You're talking about it resurging. Not that he's really gone down the ladder, but their quarterback, unbelievable. What's it been, 7 games since he's thrown an interception?
Stafford, yes.
And just the way he's playing right now, and not just with his receivers, but they're running the ball, their defense. They stymied San Francisco. Now, don't get me wrong, San Francisco scored when they needed to, but it just wasn't enough because every time Rams come back and just put it on them. You got to like the Rams, man. And the way Darnold looked the other night, yikes.
I don't know. I think we're going to be on split levels here because I really like Seattle here. Now, you're right. Darnold wasn't the MVP candidate.
I know that we were
in
talking
that game,
about.
but he didn't have to be because his defense stood up for him. They had 2 defensive touchdowns, multiple sacks, scoop and score fumble recoveries. He didn't have to be perfect out there. I think Seattle's defense may potentially be the best defense in the NFL right now.
Really?
I'm really impressed. And we talked about this before the season began. Did either of us have Seattle doing anything this year? I think we both had them missing the playoffs. Oops. Hey, we're wrong sometimes, but sometimes it's fun to be wrong. And in this NFC West here, you could probably flip a coin on this matchup. I'm not going to discount that the Rams are good. The Rams are actually a great football team. And I think Philadelphia may actually, I picked the Eagles to win the Super Bowl this year, but I believe that the Eagles could be in trouble because, Hurts has really been struggling. Barkley doesn't quite have it there. I think the winner of this contest specifically could become the Super Bowl favorite.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to go with that so-so, but I just think if Darnold doesn't, of course, you're right. Seattle has the best defense. They absolutely have the best defense right now. But if the Rams get off to a good start like they have every game, they're not going to be able to keep up. Now, here's the deal. At 37 or 38 years old, they love blitzing. Can they protect him in the pocket? That's going to be the biggest.
They're going to have to.
Yeah.
And they're one of the best lines in the biz, so you got to put your confidence behind them for sure.
You know what? Hey, and just a quickie, Denver's. That ought to be an interesting game, too. Just real quick. That ought to be a real interesting game also.
I think if the Broncos win it, they probably secure the division. I know there's a few weeks left to go there, but a big division battle there.
Kansas City.
Keep Kansas City down a peg. I don't know. Denver.
Punch them right in the mouth.
Denver didn't play super great last week, but
didn't have to. Their defense.
Exactly. Defense seems like it's...
They're the other ones with the defense.
I agree. And they're going to be a good one. That could be hey, your prediction could be right. Denver in the AFC Championship game. Denver in the Super Bowl. Hey, maybe you're right.
We'll see what happens.
That's our show, Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition. We're here every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. with Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. Thanks for listening. You can text the show anytime, 501-915-1300. We'll see you next week.
Game over.